Have you ever had that feeling you're being influenced by things you can't quite put your finger on? Well, you are. There is a secret, invisible language of design all around us, in every website we visit, every ad we see. And today, we're going to learn how to read it. So let's start with this really powerful idea. It's kind of like the story of the Joshua tree. You could live in the desert your whole life and never really notice one. But the second someone tells you its name, points it out, suddenly you start seeing them absolutely everywhere. The same exact thing is true for design. And that's really our mission here. We're going to give you the names, the vocabulary for the visual communication that's happening all around you. Because once you can name it, you have power over it. You won't just see the world differently, you'll be able to get your own ideas across way more effectively. So here's our game plan. First, we're going to dig into that power of naming. Then, we'll get into the 4 core principles. Think of this as the grammar of our new language. After that, we'll open up the designer's toolbox, understand the psychology of how it's all used to persuade us, and finally, we'll step back and see the world with totally new eyes. Right, so back to that Joshua tree. The person who wrote our source material had this exact experience. She never truly saw those funny-looking trees until she knew what they were called. Naming something makes it real. It stops being just background noise and becomes something you can actually identify, you can analyze, and you can even use yourself. That is step 1. Okay, now for the grammar. You know how sentences need structure to make sense. Visuals are no different. Good design isn't some kind of magic. It's just the deliberate use of 4 fundamental principles: proximity, alignment, repetition, and contrast. If you can get these down, you'll master visual clarity. First up, we've got proximity. This is all about what's close to what. Our brains are basically wired to take shortcuts. We assume that if things are placed near each other, they must belong together. So by grouping your related info, you instantly create order, you slash the clutter, and you tell your reader, hey, this stuff right here, this is one single idea. And this is just a perfect example of what I'm talking about. Look at the card on the left. Your eye is just bouncing all over the place, right? It's chaos. You don't know where to start or stop. But on the right, just by moving related things closer together, you get 2 clean, digestible units. It's the exact same information, but proximity makes it make sense. Next up is alignment. This principle is what brings that clean, professional order to a page. The rule is simple. Nothing should ever be placed on the page just for the heck of it. Every single element needs to have a visual connection to something else, like they're all lined up against an invisible ruler. And here's where it gets really interesting. Look at the difference between a weak and a strong alignment. Centered text, like you see on the left, it's kind of weak. It's wishy-washy. But when you align it hard to the left or the right, you get this strong, sharp, invisible line. It looks deliberate, confident, and way more professional. Third on our list is repetition. You can think of this as the thread that ties the whole piece together. When you repeat things like a specific color, a bold font, or even just a thick line, you create a sense of unity and consistency. It helps guide the viewer's eye and makes the whole design feel like a single, cohesive piece. And check this out. This shows you exactly how to level up your repetition. On the left, that little thin line, it's a repeating element, sure, but it's kind of wimpy, isn't it? On the right, they've beefed it up to a nice, bold line, and then use that same bold line elsewhere. Now it's not just a line, it's a powerful, unifying graphic element. Okay, our final principle is contrast, and the main rule here is my absolute favorite: don't be a wimp. Seriously, if 2 things on your page are not exactly the same, do not make them almost the same. Make them very different. Big contrast in size, color, or thickness is what grabs our attention and makes a design exciting to look at. I mean, just look at the difference here. The ad on the left is just a sea of gray. My eyes just glaze over, nothing pops out. But the one on the right, bam, that massive headline grabs you immediately. Contrast is how you tell the viewer, hey, look at this first. It creates a clear path for the eye to follow. So now we've got the grammar down, the 4 big rules. It's time to open up the designer's toolbox and check out the vocabulary they use to actually build their messages. And the 2 most powerful words in their arsenal are typography and color. You know, fonts aren't just letters. They have their own personalities. On the left, you've got an old-style font. See those little feet at the end of the letters? Those are called serifs. It feels classic, traditional, and it's super easy to read in big blocks of text. Now look at the right, a sans serif font. Sans just means without. No feet, clean lines, very modern. The font choice alone sends a powerful message.
And then there's color. Color is basically a cheat code for emotion. Red can scream passion or warn of danger. Blue feels trustworthy and calm, which is why so many banks and tech companies use it. Orange is friendly, warm, informal. And that classic trio of red, yellow, and blue, that high-energy combo is a go-to for anything aimed at kids.
Okay, let's put all these pieces together now. Because this whole visual language, it's not just about making things look pretty. Oh no, it is all about persuasion. Designers and advertisers use these tools to have a conversation with you, to connect with you emotionally, and ultimately to solve a problem they think you have. And a really smart way they do this is by climbing the ladder of our human needs. An ad almost never sells you just the basic function of a product. They don't sell a car that just gets you from A to B. They sell you safety for your family. They sell a sense of belonging. They sell the status that proves you've made it. The product is just the answer to a much deeper emotional desire. So that brings up the million-dollar question for any advertiser, right? In a world that is totally saturated with stuff, how on earth do you make a familiar product, a car, a soda, a pair of jeans, feel new and exciting and worth paying attention to all over again? You do the exact opposite of what everyone else is doing. You reverse expectations. Volkswagen's legendary Think Small campaign is the perfect example. Back when all American car ads were screaming bigger is better, VW came along and whispered, think small. They also broke a design rule by leaving most of the page empty, which forced you to lean in and focus on their little car. It was brilliant because it was so different. So, there you have it. We've learned the grammar, we've learned the vocabulary, and we've seen the psychology of how it all gets put together. You are now officially equipped to see the world differently. You can read the invisible language that is all around you, all the time. And to make things easy, here's a quick little cheat sheet of common mistakes to avoid. Think of this as your designers don't do this list. Remember, that strong, hard alignment is almost always better than centering everything. Don't go crazy with fonts. Be brave with your contrast. And please, let your design breathe. That organized white space isn't empty. It's one of your most powerful tools. And that brings us to the end. The next time you see a billboard or scroll through a website, you're going to see the principles at work. You'll see the proximity, the alignment, the contrast. You'll be able to decode the message. So the final question is, now that you speak the language, what will you see differently? And maybe more importantly, what will you create?